I'm Jamie Buckingham. Shalom from Israel. These days, everyone is interested in Jesus. Strange. It's been almost 2,000 years since he was born. Yet today, the world, more than ever in history, is eager to know about him. Who was he? Who is he? What can he do for me? What does he want me to do for him? Over the next 6 sessions, I want to give you some personal insights into the man Jesus. He was also the promised Jewish Messiah, the Son of God, the Savior of the world. This is not going to be another series on the life of Christ. You can learn that elsewhere. Instead, I want to give you some personal insights, things I've picked up as I've tried to follow in his footsteps for the last 50 years. We'll take a peek at what he thought of religion and religious people. What did he think about money and materialism? What kind of mysterious power did he actually have? How did he react to praise and to accusations? How did he respond to hostile government officials? And most important, what did he do when he realized he was going to die? In this opening video segment, I'm standing on the slopes of the highest mountain inside the boundaries of Israel, Mount Meron, which is located between Haifa on the Mediterranean and the Sea of Galilee. It was here the old Jews believed the Messiah would appear.
Of all the prophecies of the Old Testament, none is stronger than those saying God was going to send his Messiah to earth. Messiah, or Hamashiach in Hebrew, means the anointed one. The word Messiah, which translated into Greek, is Christos. While the Jews still look for and await the long-expected Messiah, millions of Christians believe that Jesus of Nazareth is the anointed one. Growing up as a child, I thought Jesus' last name was Christ. It was not until later that I discovered that Christ, the Greek word for anointed one, is a title, not a name. Jesus was a common name, like John or David today. Therefore, to distinguish him from the other men named Jesus, he was known as Jesus of Nazareth. Actually, it was his followers who combined the name Jesus with his title, Christ. To the Jews, the Messiah was the expected king, the deliverer of the Hebrews, who would free them from the yoke of aliens, make them a great nation ruling over the whole earth. Today, I'm standing on Mount Meron. At 3,962 feet, it's the highest peak in Israel. From here, you can see all the way from the Mediterranean Sea to the Sea of Galilee, a distance of 45 miles. One can see how small this nation actually is. This beautiful valley below me with Nazareth, Jesus' hometown, just on the other side of that range of hills. Close by is the town of Safed. At 2,600 feet, it's the highest city in Israel. And the town Jesus probably referred to when he said, "A city set on a hill cannot be hid." Safed is considered the third most sacred city in Israel, primarily because of the legend that circulates around Mount Meron.
One of the reasons Mount Meron is so important is because a famous rabbi, Shimon bar Yavov, who lived in the 2nd century under Roman rule, is buried on the mountainside. Rabbi Shimon was one of the great teachers of the Talmud, the sacred Jewish literature, which was the interpretation of the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible. He's buried next to his son, Eliezer, also a distinguished rabbi. Hundreds of Jews come to this tomb to pray, believing this to be a sacred spot. In the same building is a yeshiva, a seminary where young men come to study to be rabbis. This afternoon, as we visited the tomb of Rabbi Shimon to take these pictures, we heard singing outside in the courtyard. It was a family of Moroccan Jews, 4 generations of them, who had gathered to celebrate a miracle. The entire family had been praying for one of the men who had a serious kidney disease. When he was miraculously healed, he fulfilled his promise
of holding a day-long family celebration in honor of the miracle at the tomb of Rabbi Shimon. When the family saw us, they immediately insisted we join the celebration as honored guests. Before we knew it, we were laughing and eating and drinking and singing right along with them, celebrating with joy and thanksgiving the miracle of healing. They loaded us down with food: roast lamb cooked on an open grill, baked chicken, corn, millet, salad, falafel, hummus. One thing was evident: when Jews celebrate a miracle, they hold nothing back. They really celebrate. But my primary reason for visiting Mount Meron was not the tombs, nor the celebration. Rather, it was this rock, which the early rabbis call the throne of Messiah. When Messiah comes, the rabbis said, he will first appear sitting on this rock. Then Elijah the prophet would appear and blow a trumpet to herald the deliverance of all Israel. Close by is the main entrance to the ancient synagogue of Meron, built during the 2nd century. The central doorway is made of huge single stones which rest upon the upper lintel. It's cracked and fragmented, looks as though it will fall at any moment. The rabbis said if it should fall of its own accord, it would mark the coming of Messiah.
Most Jews believed the Messiah would come as a thundering prophet like Jeremiah. Others thought he would be another Moses, or perhaps a military leader like Judas the Maccabee, who 200 years before had gathered a small band of Jewish zealots called Hasmoneans and had defeated the mighty Syrian army led by the evil emperor Antiochus. Jesus' disciples struggled with this. However, as the time for his crucifixion drew nearer, they gradually began to realize that Jesus was not the kind of Messiah the rabbis had taught them to expect. Instead, he was more like the Messiah prophesied by the prophet Isaiah 700 years before the birth of Jesus. Isaiah said, "We all, like sheep, have gone astray. Each of us has turned to his own way, and the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all." That was written 700 years before Christ, but it leaves no doubt Jesus is the Messiah, the anointed one. By his death and resurrection, he has saved the world from its sin. Today, take a moment to worship Jesus, God's anointed one, God's Son, the Messiah.